She's been on our screens since the 90s with her own chat show and a stint on the Big Breakfast Bed. And now she's bearing all, here to tell us all about her brand new memoir. Please welcome Vanessa Feltz.
They're so 90s.
I love this dress,
I
Vanessa.
know.
This old thing, this old rag I just happened to find.
That's a good old rag, girl.
I love it.
I thought if you can't dress up on your publication day, when can you dress
Well,
up,
exactly,
right?
exactly. And your outfits that you've been wearing to talk about, Vanessa Bezel, there we go, you can see it there, have been absolutely fabulous. Now, Vanessa, you've not been off our screens or off our radios for as long as I can remember, really, because you are...
Look, you're just saying I'm really, really old.
No,
I
I see you as being like a national treasure when it comes to broadcasting.
Yeah, it's very
because,
kind to say,
you know, your voice is so identifiable, and we were talking about just how big your brain is. I mean, like, you're incredible.
I was going to say big my boobs are, not my brain. I wasn't sure what you were going to say there. My God.
Why have you decided that now's a good time?
I never thought it was going to be a good time.
Oh, really?
I really didn't think it was the thing to do at all. And then a literary agent said to me, you know, why don't you do it? And I said, oh, no one wants to read that old nonsense, really. And a misery fest, a few jokes, probably not. And then there was a bidding war for it. And I thought, A, take the money, right? B, I thought if I wait 10 years, I'll probably be dead and everyone will have forgotten about me. So I thought, if I'm going to do it, this is the moment. Bite the bullet, do it right now. So I've done it.
And, you know, you've not shied away at all in this book about your honesty.
No.
You know, and that's something that we were all talking about earlier, from, you know, your parents' attitude towards you physically and how you look, to, you know, the difficulties that you've had, you know, with partners, with your ex-husband, for
Saying that very
example.
elegantly.
Well, I'm
picked some absolute rotters. I've been the worst picker, don't you think? I've been a shockingly inept and pathetic picker.
What do you think it is? When you reflect back, what do you think it is? Because you're saying you've been shocking in who you've chosen.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that made you make those decisions?
I know exactly
for
what
those to
it
be
is.
those partners?
I tell you, because writing the book, you do get to work out a few things while you're doing it. And from the minute I was born, everything I say will sound as if I'm exaggerating. And if anything, I'm massively understating this. But I'm born into a Jewish family. If anyone's seen the film Fiddler on the Roof, it's all matchmaker, you know, all of that. And from birth, I was under pressure to get married. Really. And it wasn't like, well, Vanessa, just do what you do, and then if you happen to meet the right person that you feel like choosing, it wasn't that. It was, who's going to choose you? Who's going to pick you? Stand up straight, learn to play tennis, speak French. You want to find a good husband. You want to find a good husband. And when I read English at Cambridge, I came back again with my kettle and my bath mat. My parents were absolutely disgusted. You've been to Cambridge for 3 years, you're still not married. Oh, my God.
Wow.
And I was only 21.
Wow.
Only 21. And I was so on the shelf, I can't even tell you. And in the end, I married the doctor that my grandma chose.
Did you?
Yeah, this is completely true. She was a patient at University College Hospital, my grandma's Sybil, and a doctor came in to take a blood sample, and she said, are you married? He said, no. She said, are you Jewish? He said, yes. She said, have I got a girl for you? And she sent me down to Casualty to accost this strange doctor. And I said to her, Grandma, you cannot be serious. I can't just walk in. She said, am I your grandma? I said, yes. She said, borrow my lipstick, put some perfume. For God's sake, go down.
And that's your first husband?
And a shame you can't have lost a few stones, which we told you to do. So that's how it all sort of happened. So that the heat is just so on. I mean, A, to be married, and B, that somebody might choose you, not
I feel
that
like
you
Julie
might
needs a
choose
fan.
them.
I think we're all
I feel like I need to get a part in this book, because it's going to be a film. that is a lot.
It's all true, though. Every word of it's true. Every word of it. So that makes you, it puts you in a very difficult position, doesn't it? Where A, you don't feel like you're enough on your own.
Enough.
Yeah.
You've got to have a
Like
partner,
you're not
a
enough.
husband, you've got to be chosen. And B, if you haven't, you feel kind of incomplete, like you've totally failed, which is also awful.
And then the constant cut down, like you were saying, from family.
But listen to me, you are more than enough. Just hear that.
It's lovely to say that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks very much.
So you've had to overcome so many challenges, and I just wanted to broach the subject of weight.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's just been something that's been peppered across your career.
Massively. Huge, I know.
And you've really been so open and transparent about it.
Well, I haven't been able to hide it, let's face it. It's all been on the cameras the whole time, hasn't it?
Yeah. You're not the only one, don't worry about it.
And the awful thing is, what about how I had to have a flipping gastric bypass, and if I just waited a couple more years, I could have had those blinking injections that everyone else is having. Ozempic, that would go. I could have had that.
Did you want to have the gastric?
I felt I had no blinking choice, really.
What made you feel like you had no choice? Was
Well,
it
I tell you what,
media? Was it family? Was it...
Everything, really. So I was a little girl, and I wasn't one of those little chubby girls that likes eating cake. I was the skinny kind that's not very interested in food. And then I did this thing that my parents really never forgave me for, which in those days you called developing. You know, you suddenly started to get very tiny bosoms. Oh, that's when I was 3. Oh, my gosh.
Cute.
I think I've got pear juice in my hair. That's why it looks all stiff like that. And that's my special best party dress. And I suddenly started developing. And you know, when you get your little bosoms, and I was about 9.
Yeah.
My mum rushed me off to the specialist. What's going on with her? He said, well, Mrs. Feltz, she's developing. My grandma said, that's ridiculous. She's only 9. That, you know, almost as if I'd done it on purpose, which of course I hadn't. And then I think my mum thought that, you know, my waist would go in, my hips would come out, which is what happens, isn't it, when you're developing? And I think she panicked I'd be fat. Now, this is the 60s, where everyone wanted to look like Twiggy. Also, they wanted me very marriageable, and marriageable meant thin, like it always seems to, everything seems to be thin. But I wasn't fat, I was quite thin. And from that moment, she sort of started dieting me. So she's saying...
And how old were you at that point?
9. We're all having the chicken soup, you know, with vermicelli and with, you know, lovely dumplings and everything. Vanessa's having half a grapefruit.
Wow.
And I was 9. And I felt as if I was being punished, but I didn't know what I'd done. And I wasn't big, I was little.
Oh, God.
And so from that, really, pretty much from that moment, my mother became effectively my sort of diet police, which is very difficult because, you know, if every time you raise a fork to your mouth, your mother looks horrified, what are you supposed to do? And it also means one really major thing, which is you're hungry. You're really hungry. And also, if anyone gives you a, you know, an opal fruit or something, you can't just eat one of the packet. You're going to wolf down the lot because you're not quite sure when you're going to get the chance again. And it just makes food a whole big thing. So I really, really don't think my mum did it on purpose.
No, it's of the time.
Didn't mean to do anything. But I think the net effect was what it turned out to be, as everybody has not been able to escape, a kind of very, very public weight problem at a time when, you know, journalists and the media could say anything really, really unpleasant about women and your shape.
And there were some really unpleasant things that were written about you. And despite all of that, you forged, I think, one of the most successful careers of a female broadcaster, of a woman broadcaster.
Very nice to say.
At a time where it was really tough for women in the industry.
Well, I had bosses who patted me on the head and said, go on, pop it.
Well, how did you fight that? How did you control your career as a woman, dominant in this, you know, as a journalist, on the TV, as a presenter? How do you feel like you had the control? And if you did, what did you do
I tried to be the most prepared, like the over-prepared one. So they couldn't criticise my work. So they couldn't say, you didn't know this, you got that wrong, why were you not adequately prepared, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But, my gosh, it was an uphill climb. It really, really was. Because, you know, I mean, lots of men, I think even today, and certainly of a certain generation, they don't like a woman who speaks.
Yeah.
You know,
And
if you go on a date and you don't say a word because they don't let you, to your absolute amazement, when it gets to the pudding, they say, well, this has been the most wonderful evening and I'd love to see you again. You think, well, am I a mirror? I was just reflecting you back at yourself. Blinking heck, you know, gosh.
Are you still finding that difficult, do you think, in terms of being back on the dating scene as someone who does have opinions? I think for all of us at any point in time, we are women who do speak up for ourselves, which, as you say, isn't always a trait that the other half like.
Yeah.
Really, right? What do you think?
I think the dating scene is an absolute flipping nightmare. And as an agony aunt, you know, I've been able to say to other women, oh, you know, it's a numbers game, you know, don't take it personally, you know, give it another whirl.
But what do you really think?
Oh, it's horrible. and also, you know, the second you see them, you don't even need...
You just that instincts. But you're a hot mama, what's your type? What are you looking for?
Do you know, seriously, after all these years, loyal...
Yeah.
Decent.
We'll have to throw that one out for this.
Integrity. You know, somebody that you can trust. Somebody, when they say they're going to post a letter, really is going to post a letter. You don't have to worry and think about what the hell they're really doing. I mean, I think all of that, but obviously irresistibly sexually attractive. You know, with a hell of a lot of charisma. And I quite like somebody who would sort of say something like, oh, you know, there's a great exhibition at the Blah, a fabulous concert at the so-and-so, such and such are playing at the Dada.
Would you
come with, would you like that? And I'd be like, yes, I would. I'd love somebody who would, you know, have a sort of appetite for life, appetite for adventure.
Love that.
And I could adventure with them.
That's what you're looking for as well. You two should, like, tag
Double
team.
date.
Yeah, let's.
Double date?
That could be the next book, Vanessa.
Me and you go.
I'm in, but, you know, you get...
V&B.
Over a certain certain age, you know, these antiques, and you have to give them a prod to see if they're still alive.
Yeah. As I say, going dating now, I just like going to a flea market and hoping that you find something with value.
I thought I could say funeral home. It's really something else.
Well, now that we have that list, Vanessa, we'll be looking out for you just like we look out for B all the time, and hopefully we'll see,
Thank you, please do.
some more come up. But ladies and gentlemen, Vanessa Feltz.